Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Profitable Christian Business Podcast. I am so pleased to have my guest, Erick Vargas, with me today. We're going to dive into Erick's entrepreneurial and faith journey. We're going to talk about the app that he's created, which I'm sure a lot of you will be interested to know more about. But without further ado, Erick, why don't you tell a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Super excited to be here. I'm a Christian entrepreneur and I build applications. So I run a software company built, for the construction industry, but I have a lot of kind of projects that I hope to bring my technical skills into the church world. And so that's kind of like what I spend my free time doing is helping the church with like, building this app that we'll talk about and a couple of other projects. So yeah, just exploring what God, has for us when, or me, putting my two passions together.
Well, I like to start off each interview with kind of some breaking the ice questions, just kind of get to know you a little bit better. The first one of those is if you could use only one app on your phone for the rest of your life, what app would that be and
I
why?
mean, that might be a trick question. Probably
Hmm.
my app that I built, Sabbath Space, only because it's just changed my life in the past
Hmm.
couple weeks here. That we just launched, 2 weeks ago. So
Hmm.
I'm super
Nice.
excited to share that with the world.
Yeah, so we'll dive into the specifics of that app in just a few minutes. But let's just take that one aside for a minute because
Yes.
we all want our babies, right? We of course we're going to use the things that we create. But is there another app on your phone that you're like, man, I don't know if I could do without that one?
Yeah, honestly, it's my notes app.
Mm,
Just the clean and simple notes app. That's what I use it as my diary. It's my everything app, right?
mm.
So if I have an idea, it just helps me process. And so whenever something comes into my head, I put it there. And so whether it's maybe sermon idea, a business idea, something to do, it's just the catch-all for me. So I live off of that.
Nice, nice. I heard you mention sermon in there. I did. It might be something learning myself something new about you. Are you a pastor?
So I just graduated seminary
Nice.
6 months ago. I thought I was going to be a full-time pastor kind of right out of college. But God had different plans.
Nice. Uh, so my next question is, what is one thing about you that might surprise people who only know you as a tech entrepreneur?
So I like to play bass.
Oh,
So yeah, so I have the technical side, but actually that's how I met my wife was on the worship team. So
nice, nice. I am not musically talented myself. I tried to have keyboard lessons. I took some I, multiple times in my adult life and in my when I was in high school, but nothing ever stuck with me. So I am very I have a lot of respect for people that learn music because it is really, really cool.
yeah, but my wife is like the real musician. So.
Nice. So, does she sing?
Yeah, she's a worship leader. She's a songwriter. She has like her own channel on Spotify. So actually, fun fact,
Nice.
she wrote a song about me for my 30th birthday a couple years back, and it went viral, which is pretty cool. So yeah,
Nice, nice,
yeah,
nice. Well, when I talk about putting links below, we might actually put a link to that song below
yeah,
if people want to
sure,
check it out. That
yeah,
that'd be pretty cool. Um, Next question: if you could have dinner with any historical figure, let's take Jesus out of the equation on this one because that's the
yeah.
default.
That's a
It should
given.
be the
That's a given.
default answer for anyone that's a Christian entrepreneur anyway. Who would it be other than Jesus and why?
Hmm. Any- Oh, that's a tough one. I'm gonna go the number two Christian route that you're not supposed to do is probably what you get a lot, Paul, because he's just
Mm.
like such an innovator, right? So okay, it would be Paul or it'd be Martin Luther, probably.
Ooh, yeah,
With the Second Reformation, because not only did it change the church, but it changed the world. And
yeah,
so I mean, Martin Luther is Paul 2.0 to me.
yeah.
So yeah, one of those two
Wow.
guys for sure.
Nice. Uh, I do get Paul sometimes when I ask that question, but one of the really interesting one, like a couple other interesting ones, is David, right, from the Bible,
That's a solid choice. Yeah.
or even Solomon, right? Solomon was the
Yeah.
wisest man in the world at one point. So yeah.
Love it.
The next question is a staple of every profitable Christian business podcast, and it is the fill in the blank question. Your fill in the blank question is entrepreneurship to me is all about blank and blank.
Entrepreneurship is all about solving a problem.
Mm. Hmm.
That's it. That like people think entrepreneurship is about like this idea that I have that I have to get out into the world and all this kind of stuff. No, like I have a million ideas that never get off the ground, but if you focus on solving a problem, that is where the magic happens.
I agree with that because if you have an idea and it doesn't solve a problem or solve a problem that's needed, then you're not an entrepreneur. You just have an
Oh,
idea.
yeah, no, everybody has every idea, right? But like if you want to like see this idea like flourish, it has to meet a need, right? And as Christians, we're called to be redemptive in nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that means problem solvers, right? And so that's the way I kind of see it.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I love that analogy that we are problem solvers. Like we're meant to serve our fellow man, right? Like that's how a way that we show love is through service and
Yeah,
being able to solve the problems of our fellow man is a huge thing. So
yeah.
nice. The next question is the flag behind you. I'm a patriot myself. So can I just know a little bit more about the reason for the flag behind you and kind of your thoughts on America in general?
Yeah, so I think we all feel it in this new season of just like a renewed spirit, a renewed hope for the future, perhaps. Yeah, I have this behind me because my grandfather, I'm Cuban and I live in South
Mm,
Florida, and my grandfather escaped communist Cuba to come to the United States to build a life for himself. And my dad left when he was 13. So,
mm,
it's a big part of our story, and that makes me the first of everything pretty much
mm.
to experience that here in the United States. And so I'm just super grateful, for what my family did to give us, better opportunities and a better life. And so that's honestly that's why I have it here.
Nice, nice. Well, I have quite a few friends that either their family immigrated here and they were the firstborn, or they immigrated here, and I often what I'm thinking of the right word to describe this. Um, the average American that's born here that doesn't understand the opportunities that we have versus someone that has come from another country, um,
Yeah, very different. Yeah.
understands like and the drive. I've noticed like
Yes,
people that come here that
I
know the
know.
opportunities have so much more drive than the people that are uh, basically handed it and don't know it.
Like I say this in general, not I can't paint a brush, but like especially recently, I feel more of that American spirit than some of like people that have been here for generations and generations who would just say this is normal, right? And
Mhm.
like that, and I know immigration is like a big topic now, but like people want to come here,
Mhm.
that want to build their life, right? And that's
Mhm.
part of the American spirit, not to come here to like, you know, leech off of the system, right? That's different. But
Mhm.
people that are smart want to build a new life. I think America just gives that opportunity to people. So that's why I have that.
Yeah, the richest man in the world is basically an immigrant to the United States, right? Elon
Yeah,
Musk,
yeah,
he was from
yeah,
South Africa and he
yeah,
realized the opportunity in America.
yeah. It's here, and America is for sale and for the taking for anyone who kind of like, puts the work in. And so that's what I was told, and it's true.
So I don't want to divert too much into politics, but we'll go there
Yeah,
just for a second. Like,
sure.
because I think I feel the same thing that you do with this new administration, especially for businesses and Christian businesses. There is, uh, I feel like the more doors have opened up, right? That it's there's more encouragement in the marketplace. There is because there's someone that has built businesses in the White House. That's like his
Oh
forte.
yeah. Oh
He
yeah.
is so business friendly. So if you just want to reflect on that for a minute.
Yeah, a lot of people like to think that the government isn't a business, but everything has business qualities to it, right? And so, okay, the government is in a business, but it takes in revenue, it has expenses, it has, all right. And and maybe its purpose isn't to be profitable, although deficits are bad, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, um, you know, like, okay, so another example would be a church, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or even a family. Those aren't businesses, but you have to keep the lights on, you have to minimize, like all these principles of running efficiently and effectively needs to, it's not business, it's just stewardship,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think right now we're in the middle of like all the kind of fraud that is
Mm-hmm.
being exposed through like Doge and all that stuff. But and it's like, you know, why are we, like I would never pay for somebody else's college before my own kid's
Mm-hmm.
college, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
and like sure, pay for someone else's college, bless them. But when things aren't at home aren't good, you can't do that.
Right. Yeah.
Priorities, right?
Yeah. I love the analogy. It's all the principles to run a business. You can get a lot of them from the Bible, or most of them from the Bible, right? About the right things to do. And profitable Christian business. The God wants you to have a profitable business. He doesn't want to be you to be indebted. Um,
Yeah. Profits aren't bad. Profits are good, right?
yeah.
Like especially Christians, they don't like the word profit, right? And they think profit could be like a bad word. But okay, let's put it biblically, like harvest, right? That's
Hmm.
profit. That's profit. That's a biblical perspective of profit, right?
Yeah. And how to make, and we talk all the time about making impact for the kingdom. You can make a much better impact for the kingdom from surplus than you can from lack.
Oh
So
yeah.
um that's it. And when we talk about profitable Christian business, it's more, yes, we want you to have a profitable business, but more so than just that, we want you to
Yes,
be profitable for the kingdom, and you do that
that's
from a
right.
surplus.
Yeah. Yeah, you
So
can't give what you don't have, right?
yeah. Yeah. So awesome. Awesome. Now we're going to get into probably talking about your app a little bit. And that stems from our secret
Yes.
question. So, what is the secret to keeping the Sabbath?
The secret to keeping the Sabbath is there's a couple, but the counterintuitive one is actually working really hard for 6 days,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And actually expending yourself, right? So like it's kind of like if you ever worked out really hard in the morning, like then you can rest, right? There's we never, so the way I like to describe it is like people are okay with living at a pain tolerance of 6 or 7. That's just like mildly painful, but not painful enough to make a change, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's how we kind of live life in this state. And so what that means is that we actually never truly are working hard and we're never truly are resting hard,
Mm-hmm.
right? So therefore we're never truly Sabbathing. So it's funny, like um Sabbath was unlocked for me when I gave myself permission to work 6 days a week, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of confused because in our American society, we work 5 days a week and we rest
Mm-hmm.
2. So technically, we should be doubly as rested, right?
Right.
But we're not. We're not. We're actually burnt out, where we feel like so much anxiety. And the reason why is because we're actually never truly disconnected from work because of our phones, right? Always checking email, always checking this, always checking that, always taking in podcasts and information. So again, we're always on and never off. So that's so building in that discipline of being on or being off And creating those boundaries is what allowed me to like truly Sabbath.
Nice. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And often Saturdays, we say we're taking it, like some people actually do take Saturdays off, but when you fill in like all the things you didn't get done for your family, like all the chores can tend to get done on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
totally.
so you're still basically working.
Oh yeah. But not only that, it's like what messages are we taking in on Saturday through social media, through our
Hmm.
phones, through watching the news, through all of this kind of stuff, right? And so, okay, so I say I work 6 days a week. I work 5 days a week, but then Saturday is like my family work day,
Hmm.
right? And so that Sunday we go to church and we can do whatever we truly want to do,
Hmm.
and be intentional about Sabbath.
Thanks for tuning into today's episode.
As a Christian entrepreneur, we want to give you something for free. If you go to clientsforthekingdom.com, we have an ideal client avatar generator on there for free. It's something that we've spent thousands of dollars on, countless hours out, and building out this structure of showing you who your ideal client avatar is and an offer stack that can work for your business.
Enjoy the rest of the episode. Yeah. I love that idea of intentional. And I think my next question is going to talk about how your app can help us be intentional.
Yeah.
So first of all, what inspired you to create the Sabbath Space app, and how, like, were there any personal
Yeah.
struggles or anything that
Yeah.
led to
So
that?
coming back to the initial question, I was solving my own problem and then a problem that I see everybody have, right?
Mhm.
And actually, my phone, just in our conversation right now, has pinged me 9 times.
Wow.
So I'm just going to turn on Sabbath Space right now so I'm not disturbing our conversation here. So
Nice.
no. So basically, the phone and technology has just crept into our life, right? And it's become a 24/7 kind of thing where, my wife would tell me occasionally, you're always on your phone. And I'm like, well, you're always on your phone,
Mhm.
you know? And, we were just on our phones at different times, right? And she
Mhm.
wanted to connect with me and then I wanted to connect with her, and we were just like missing each other there, right?
Mhm.
And so, um, I have a 2-year-old son, and when he was born, I realized, wow, I'm spending a lot of time on my phone, and I don't want to miss these precious moments, right? That I'll never have again with him, right?
Right.
And I looked at my screen time, and I was spending 6+ hours a day on my phone. And so I would challenge everyone listening, just go into your screen time and check out how many hours you're looking at your phone. And I was blown away. I'm not on my phone that much. There's no way. Right. But then you realize an hour here, an hour there, you're listening to this podcast or that, like it adds up
Mhm.
fast. And then 2 hours scrolling at night, right? Um, and that's why I built Sabbath Spaces, because I wanted to create the space in my life for the real things that mattered, right? So that's why I did it.
Yeah. I think back in my generation, you're younger than me, but I think social media and phones, et cetera, have replaced what when I was growing up, TV. Like people were just all watching
Oh yeah,
so much
oh
TV.
yeah,
And I think of all the productivity time lost to people watching TV when I was growing up, and now to the phone, just scrolling through social media, through whether it's playing games, interacting with apps on their
oh
phone.
yeah,
Um, just think if you could replace that time with being present with your family,
oh yeah,
friends, wow, or into more productivity.
yeah.
You talked
And
about,
it's not
go
it's not
ahead.
that like your phone is like it, I want to make it a tool. I want to be in control of my phone. I don't want my phone to be in control of me. And that's what
Hmm.
was happening.
Hmm. Yeah. Wow. So let's talk about a little bit about the technical aspects of
Yes.
Sabbath Space. Sabbath Space, if I could if I
Yes.
could say it. Um, how does it help people keep the Sabbath?
Okay. So it's different because your phone, if you have an iPhone and probably Android too, it already has this feature called um, screen time where you can limit like how much time you spend on certain applications, right? But what happens is, let's say you're on Instagram and you put in there that I only want to be on Instagram an hour a day. After you spend that hour, what happens is you get a pop-up that says, do you want to bypass this? And then it says 15 more minutes, one more time, right? And my wife used this because she wanted to limit her screen time. But every time it pops up, bypass, 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 right? And so and so what happened is I'm like, why do you even have that if you're just going to bypass it every time, right? So what we realized is like, okay, we need a little bit more friction in between me and the phone, right? And so I went to this comedy show. I think it was like Joe Rogan or something like that a couple of years ago. And when I went into the show, they made you put your phone into a bag that magnetically sealed at the top. And so you were holding your phone throughout the show, but you had no access to. And I'm like, wow, I haven't been on my phone in like 3 hours and I'm really connected here and I'm present, right? And then when you leave, you open the magnetic bag and then you have your phone back. So I'm like, that's probably a little bit too extreme, right? So what I did is like, how can I have something in between? And so that's what I did with Sabbath Space. So Sabbath Space works based off of the app and this device, which is a keychain. And in this keychain, there's a chip. And so what you do is you activate the app and then you scan the chip and then it blocks your apps. And you can customize what apps you want blocked. So I have a work mode, I have a church mode, I have a devotional mode, right? So like, let's say in a devotional mode, I only want access to my Bible app. And so that's all I have access to until I'm done with Devos. And then I can scan my phone again and unlock everything else. In work mode, I block all social media apps except my Slack and my email. So I'm focused, right? So there's different modes that you can customize so that you have access to what you need to have access to, right? And then block what you shouldn't be accessing, right?
Wow, this hits hard for me just even today. So every morning I do my devotional and I do devotionals on the phone, right? And what else is on my phone? My
Everything
email,
else.
social media.
Yeah.
Let me check my calendar real quick and then I'll get back to my devotional,
Right.
right? So all those things tend to pop up,
Right.
even though you're trying to be focused
You
because
get the
everything is
notifications.
exactly, yes. So, somebody needs me to reply to them. Oh, I better do that right away.
Right.
We talk about being present with our families. What about being
Yes.
present with God?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Right.
Wow. I'm
Right.
such a fan of your app.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, it's helped me. And so like it's great, my son's 2 now, so he loves playing with his trains and I get home and I scan my app and it's playtime. You know what I mean? It's dinner time. So like we have a keychain app, but we also have this desktop app for your desk. Like so I have one on my dinner table and I have one on my nightstand next to my bed. And because I don't want my phone disturbing me when I'm about to go to sleep. And at dinner, these are the places I want to be present, right? So that's where I have Sabbath Space activated so I can be present. And that's how you create a Sabbath.
Nice. Yeah, we as a family, my daughter just left for college this past year, but I cannot remember the time where we come to the table, but we didn't bring our phones because that was a sacred time for our family, right? This is the time for us to connect and talk, and not be looking at our phones. So I love again that your app gives people another measure in that, right? Other than
Yeah.
just setting a boundary, let's do the technical thing and
Right.
close
Right.
it off so that it's
Yeah.
not even there.
And so with the device, you just create that extra layer of friction so that you don't mindlessly do things and accidentally just like open up the, you know what I mean? So, because like, let's say you're trying to spend time, with your family, and your phone is buzzing constantly, right? Trying to get your attention. And you're probably not gonna get up, go find your keys and scan just so you can access social media. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
You're probably not gonna. So the way I like to describe it is, if you're on a diet, don't keep the cookies in the house, right? Because you're
Right.
not going to go to the store and buy cookies. You're just going to get the apple that's in front of you and make the right healthy choice, right? So that's the idea.
Yeah. Just gonna shameless plug the Profitable Christian Business Planner and Journal. So one of the things that we teach in here is productivity and being able to focus,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
the more you can apply true focus during given times, we could be so much more productive.
exactly.
And I love that you're present no matter with your app, you present no matter what you're doing, whether it's your devotional time, like you said, you're present in your work time, like you're getting so much more done, I'm sure, because you're eliminating all the distractions and you're present with your family when it's time to be present with your family.
Right,
So
right.
um really, really amazing. So the next question is kind of a broader question. So how do you think technology is both a blessing and a curse?
Yeah, good question. Um, so my full-time job in my business is software. And so I kind of get to see what these big tech companies are doing to bless us and curse us at the same time, right? So it's a blessing because it's a tool, right? We're a lot more productive. There's so many benefits, right, that you can go into connection, all of that. But it's a curse in a couple of ways. It's a cheap replacement for real life, right? So like I heard somebody say the other day that the average dinner takes 7 to 10 minutes to eat, right? And then he said, we're having dinner, but we're not having a meal,
Right.
right? We don't, or like we have friend requests, but we don't have like true friendships, right? And so all of this is like cheap substitutes for reality. So like that's what it gets me so excited about Sabbath Space, is not necessarily preventing stuff from happening, the phone from taking over our life, but what are you going to invest your time in, right? That's what gets me excited to hear, like how many marriages are going to be saved because the husband and wife are not scrolling for 2 hours before bed, but they're connecting and talking about their day and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, nice. Yeah. There are things that are making us even more productive, like AI and things like
Yeah.
that. But
Oh yeah.
it still always comes down to the human discipline and the human will,
Oh yeah.
right?
Right.
We have all like, yeah, okay, I just used AI to lessen 2 hours out of my day, but what are you spending those 2 hours doing now?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
So
So a lot of people tried. It's funny. We optimize our life in so many ways, but then we waste our time in so many ways, right? And so it's like, maybe instead of like, that's why I was so like confused at the 6 hours I was wasting on social media, because I'm very productive in my life. Like, I just graduated seminary, I run a software startup, all this kind of stuff. So that is not a problem. But like the problem presented itself when I realized, oh, I could be investing more into my son, into my wife, into my family, into like these other things. And that's where I want to be spending my time.
yeah, yeah, man. I love it. I love it. I can't wait to check out your app for myself.
Awesome.
I want to switch gears a little bit to questions about your faith journey.
Sure.
So, how has your faith influenced the way you approach your business life?
Yeah, great question. So I would say primarily, oh man, I mean, it's everywhere, right? It's my operating system, right? And what I mean by that is like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, like a lot of people don't take risks in business because they're scared, but like, or like, that like they find their identity in their business. But because I don't,
Hmm.
like, I can go, you know, gas on the floor and pedal to the metal and try to do something impactful in the world because my identity is found in Christ, right? So it's like, that fleshes itself out in, every sale that you make, how you deal with employees, every hard conversation you need to have, and all this kind of stuff. So business and business might have the worldly reputation of um, you know, um, like conquering or like just trying to make a um, ill-gotten gain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like business might have that reputation, but when you see business as like service, then it's different, right? And that
Yeah.
all comes from faith.
Yeah. Wow. I'm going to issue a challenge right now to anyone that's listening because this is for Christian entrepreneurs. So if you're listening, you're probably labeled yourself a Christian entrepreneur. Um, when you weigh those two words, how heavily is it weighted one way or the other? When you weigh entrepreneur, is that your identity? Kind of like Eric has brought up. I think a lot of us, we get so wrapped up in our businesses that it becomes our identity. So I challenge you, make sure that you're weighing that on the right side, that being a Christ follower is much more heavily weighted and is your identity much more so than your business. So
Yeah,
thanks for bringing that up.
yeah, no problem. I mean, that's how like if like I said, it's the operating system. So there's no other way to operate faithfully.
Yeah. Has there ever been a time in your business where you felt like your faith was challenged? Um, I guess to put it another way, were you uh was there any time where you could have went the wrong direction, made the wrong decision, but it was your faith that guided you in the right direction?
Oh yeah, every day, every day, every day you have the opportunity to cut corners, to take advantage, to do things in a not Christ-like way. Yeah, every day, like you have that, or to be afraid, right?
Mhm.
To not do what you're supposed to do. And that's where my faith comes in to push me in the right direction because I'm not doing it like when I have to have a hard conversation, I do it with grace, right? When I have the opportunity to take advantage, I do what's right and fair, right?
Mhm.
So because guess what? At the end of the day, like I'm accountable to God
Mhm.
and he's with me and watching. And so that's why I have no other choice to live with myself, but to conduct myself this way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And if I could add to that, like one way to make sure that you have that heart posture is being in the word daily. And when we talk about the balance
Yeah.
again, how much time are you
Yeah.
spending in the word and with God? How putting on that armor to help you
Yeah.
make the right decisions and
Oh
putting on
yeah.
that correct mindset. So again, your app would come really in handy, right? So if you want to really focus your time and your devotions and the things that of God and block out everything else, the Sabbath app. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I think everybody should look into that. Um, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. So we're going to put the link. We have a link we can get a link for that, right? We can put
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
link
So
below.
I'm the website is sabbathspace.io, or you could just search in the app store.
Awesome, awesome. So we'll put that link below. Is there any place else that you'd like to send people to?
Yeah, if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, you could just look me up there, or if you fill out the form on the Sabbath Space website, comes directly to me. You'll hear from me. But yeah, happy to connect with anybody.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Eric. This has been an amazing interview. I am excited about the Sabbath Space app. We connected briefly before this interview, and I honestly, I wanted to wait to have this conversation before I went and looked at it because I wanted your expert insights into it before I even went and looked. But I'm going to go check it out and use it. So,
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, we have one last question we ask every
Yeah.
entrepreneur before they leave, and it's open-ended. So, I always feel like there's some piece of wisdom, unless I ask this question, that would be left on the table if I didn't. So, do you have any parting words of wisdom based on your experience and life that you'd like to pass on to anyone listening?
Be quick to obey God, even when you don't understand.
Mm,
Like, have obedience be your default rather than suspicion or questioning be your default. And even when you do, just be obedient because it's going to work out in your favor that way.
yes,
Yeah.
I think man, I feel like we could talk a long time on that, but I love that you said that because I feel like, and I've heard it said before that we talk about love languages. Obedience is one of God's love languages, right? You want to show
Yeah.
that you love the Lord, be
Yeah.
obedient.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and and he ultimately, you have to know that he wants his glory and our good, right? So
Right.
that if you just know that, it's easy to be obedient.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And, like you'd rather, like I'm a big Proverbs guy. So I
Hmm.
love reading Proverbs every day, meditating on that. And there's just so much, wisdom and pain that is saved through obedience. And so you know God's, it is for our good, even when we don't understand it. So just obey when you don't get it, and you'll learn about it later, probably. So
Yeah, so many things I've learned in hindsight of God's
yeah.
plan for me. And I'm like,
Mhm.
thank you, God, for taking me through that storm, or thank you, God,
Yeah.
for your will and not my will, because I would have took this in a whole different direction and it would not have been as great as what you had for me.
Awesome.
So thanks again, Eric. And until next time, entrepreneurs, keep moving forward. Thanks for checking out the Profitable Christian Business Podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, and share.